I noticed that from my live stream yesterday that there's kind of an interest in people learning about, me becoming a teacher. And I do want to say that my teaching career started in Japan in the late 90s. And I have a great fondness for Japan because it happens to be the place where I met my wife. And my wife's mother, my mother in law, and my father in law lived there. And Japan has a very special place in my heart. It's hard to describe, but when I'm there, I just feel at ease. I feel at peace. And I don't know why that is. It might have something to do with the country and the fact that it's a very safe country. And I'll share a story with you, something that sort of caught me by surprise. And if I have a picture, I'll post it for you. In Japan, it's very rare that people will lock their bicycle. There's bicycles all over the place, but I frequently saw, like in front of a convenience store or something, just a bicycle sitting there. And me being the American that I am, I looked and said, "Oh, there's nobody locked that bike. I could get away with taking that." But of course, I didn't. I heard a story of one of my colleagues actually one night was drinking too much and saw a bicycle on the side of the street and said, "Well, let me ride this home. I don't have money for a taxi." And about 5 minutes later, the police were chasing him. So they must have some serious LoJack on their bicycles. I don't know what they do, but maybe that's the reason they don't lock them. I'm not sure. I think it has something to do with the fact that it's just a very safe country. My family and I, when we were in Japan last Christmas, we saw little kids, had to be 5 or 6 years old, on the trains or subways, just going to school by themselves. That is unheard of in America because America has quite a bit of crime, quite a bit of danger, and you would never let your kids ride a crowded subway at the peak of rush hour in the morning to go to school. But they do it in Japan without an afterthought because it's so safe, and you see the sweet little kids get off the train and scurry off to school. It just fills your heart with joy. And I think that's one of the reasons I just enjoy being in Japan. And don't get me wrong, no country is perfect. Every country has their things that maybe they could improve on. But the one thing that I really know deep down in my heart is that I don't have a care in the world when I'm in Japan. It just feels like a wonderful place. And I lived there for 2 years. And I taught at an English school in a suburb of Tokyo, in the city of Tama, Tama. And that's where I started teaching. And I didn't really realize the significance of what I was doing until I kind of had a little bit of trouble at the beginning. And what I mean by that is that I didn't really know how important my job was until a student actually told me. I'll go into a little bit of the reason. The reason that I went to Japan was for a girl. I went to Japan to be with a girl. It didn't work out. We broke up pretty much, as soon as I got to Japan. It's a long, long story that I'll share with you in another video. But, a few months later, I met the woman that I would be married to, my wife, and we've been married for 24 years, and she's the greatest gift I could ever ask for. That's the good news. But when I went to Japan, and in order for me to go to Japan, I needed to get a job so that I could get a visa to live in Japan and be with this girl who I thought, was gonna, I thought it was gonna work out. It didn't. But in any case, we broke up as soon as I got to Japan, and you can imagine someone going to another country for a person who they feel, is the one. Turns out she wasn't, but that's another story, as I said. And so I was depressed. I was sad. I was drinking so much water. What did you think I was going to say? Use your imagination. I was sad, depressed, and students at this school, and by the way, these are students that just have a hunger to learn the English language, and they look at a goofy face like mine and they study the way my lips move and how I form words and letters, and they actually write down the way your lips move and they stare at you. They were depending on me to teach them English. They went out of their way, sometimes after school, sometimes in the morning, on the weekends, to learn English. It is a big, huge accomplishment to be able to speak English fluently. And so people all across Japan, they spend millions upon millions of dollars in English schools just so that they can learn the English language because they feel, and it turns out to be somewhat true, that English is kind of the universal language. It's spoken in more places, I believe, than most other languages. But these people depended on me. And so in my depression and my sadness, you could see it on my face. And I'm the type of person that has a very expressive face. You can tell when I'm happy. You can tell when I'm sad. You can tell when I'm angry. And so everything is written on my face, and my students could read every emotion that I was going through. And I think they had a genuine concern. And one day I went to lunch, Mossberg, one of my favorite places, a hamburger place. And actually it was really far. I made sure to walk very far so that I wouldn't encounter any of my students. But one of my students, an older lady, followed me. She did that stalker action. I walked, kind of sad down the street and around the corner to go to this burger place, and she was in the back. I ordered my food, by myself. I sat down in my sad little stupor, and she walked in and she approached me. Oh, no, she didn't walk in, sorry. She actually waited outside. That's some serious stalker action. She's a sweet lady, don't get me wrong. A sweet, sweet lady. But after I finished wiping the ketchup and salt from my lips, I walked outside and she said, "Teacher." I'm like, what? What is all this? Can a brother eat a burger in peace? And she told me, she said, she can tell something's wrong. She can tell that I'm sad or upset about something. But she told me, please teach us. We want you to teach us. And that was a huge wake-up call. Because that's the day that I realized that I wasn't in Japan for me. I was in Japan for my students. And from that day, I never forgot that. What I do is not about me. It's about every single face in front of me. That was a special day. And slowly, I became the teacher that everyone wanted me to be. I brought personality that lit up the room. I brought enthusiasm. I brought laughter. I brought jokes. And I became very quickly one of the most popular teachers at the school. Because I realized it's not about me. It's about my students. And that philosophy stayed with me for every single year that I taught, 24 years. I always remember I am inside this classroom to teach, to do my best to make people enthusiastic about learning, to show them that learning can be fun, to show them that they can do it. And so that broke me out of that little miniature depression I was in. And I'm glad that it did, because 3 months later, I met the woman that I would marry. And can you imagine me meeting my wife? Right? What is that? She would have ran away. But she didn't. She stayed with me. Decided to marry me. I'm kidding. We have a wonderful relationship and a wonderful daughter. But I think it's from that day I realized that my purpose in this world is not about always serving my needs. It's about doing everything I can for other people within my power. That's what drives me every single day. Doing my best to do for other people. And it's a philosophy that I believe will help make your life a little bit better. There are so many people in the world that just care about doing for themselves. We know this is true. But the day when you can decide to start doing a little bit for other people, it might make your life a little bit happier. It might make you smile a little bit more. Because if you're sad, if you're angry all the time, that will show on your face as plain as day. People don't want to see that. And so my message to all of you, of course, it's tough to always be happy and to put on a smile. We are going through things, but by making other people's journey in life a little bit easier, just might make our own a little bit easier. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, Japan. Japan was a lot of fun. Why is it fun, X? X-Men, tell us, why is it fun? First of all, the food is amazing. I told one of my little videos, the moron videos, I said that they don't have spaghetti in Japan. They have every kind of food you can imagine in Japan. And for some reason, they make it better than other countries. I swear to you, the best Indian food I ever had was in a little restaurant in Tokyo. Now, how weird is that? They have this drive to just always do good work. And that's true in the convenience stores, in the fast food restaurants. When you walk in, they shout, "Irashaimase! Welcome!" Right? You're like, oh, shoot, I feel like a king in this hamburger place. But it's partly because there's so much competition for business, but it's also inside the nature of the Japanese person to always do good work. Always. Gambaremasu. Always do your best. Gambaremashou. Do your best. And what a great philosophy. What a great life philosophy to always do your best. Always do your best. If life is difficult, then you gaman. You endure. Gaman so you can gambaremasu. And so there are some things that I take with me from Japan, even to this day. The fact that you don't give up. You keep working hard. You will have setbacks. You will have difficult things happen. I had a couple of difficult things happen today, but the one thing that I said to myself is, I'm not going to let this ruin my day. I'm going to do whatever I can to correct this situation. I will not give up. There was no doubt in my mind that this little problem that I had would be resolved. And you got to believe that in the core of your being, with every fiber of your being. There's a way out of every bad situation. You just got to believe it. That's all you got to do. Here's one thing I believe in. I believe in every one of you. I thank you for joining me, listening to this fool. I'm so humbled and appreciative that there's actually people out there that want to listen to me, and I hope I have something good to say. How about I'll see you later?